Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United.
Welcome back, Reds. What a fantastic second half. I mean, if that's not second half FC, I don't know what is. I mean, that was a really laboured 45 minutes to begin with. And yeah, second half came out, shut up shop. I mean, dare I say it, 1 foot in the door. We'll have to wait and see what happens, obviously, next week. But yeah, brilliant second half. Cavani, excellent. Bruno, excellent. Pogba, absolutely unsung, to be honest. He was absolutely incredible. Just going to have a look at the quick comments. There's 110 watching. Good to see all of you. A lot of you on Twitter. If you want to come over to YouTube, youtube.com/AllForUnited, that would be grand. 4 others on Facebook. Same applies. Just some comments here. Karthik, good to see you, buddy. The irony of the ending of the year, absolutely. Well, it could well be. Europa League champions of the world, quite possibly. I'm going to bring on my first guest. Bobby. How you doing, man?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried about my mic before, but
I'm in the living room. I've had to put my son to sleep, so I've had to come out of the room there. But oh my goodness!
I thought you had a halo over you. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, mate. I'm good. Happy to be back on.
Yeah, good to have you, mate.
Oh, listen. What a night! I'll sleep well tonight, Mark. Definitely.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. Yeah, I mean, first half it was pretty poor, wasn't it? Obviously with the setup with Scott and Fred. Lots to talk about that. You and I have had discussions about this before.
100%.
Obviously brought Pogba back after half time, put him more in the centre of the park, and he obviously, it did it justice. And we really, 2-1 down at half time, comeback kings and all that jazz. We did well to win 6-2. But yeah, give me your overall thoughts, mate.
I just think that it's a game of two halves, isn't it? It's Man United. Those two halves were literally an advert of Manchester United this season. Like today's woeful passing, and then the second half. Okay, Pogba played we done well for the first goal, but the second half was just what happens when we allow Pogba to play with freedom, when we actually give Bruno some creativity, support, and also when we have a striker up front that can link the play, get in the box, and finish. And it was just, I dare say, a glimpse of what Man United can be in the second half, man. It was just, do you know what? It was just so satisfying to watch, to see our team score those goals. There's a thing about us playing Roma. Our club against Roma just have a thing of scoring goals, and I'm just happy. I'm going to say it. I don't care. We're in the final. We are in the final. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get there because of travelling. But I'm confident we win this trophy now, and I will be booking my tickets for Belfast for the Super Cup, man. 100%.
It was a game of two halves. You're absolutely right. As I said earlier, appalling first half. Really didn't have anything in us at all. And then, as I said earlier, dropping Pogba into the midfield. I mean, talk to me about Cavani. There's been a lot of talk. I think we've spoken about this before, bro. Obviously, talks of him maybe not staying another year. But he's been, I know he's only got 11 goals, but it's not just the 11 goals that counts. He's probably got 12 or 13 now, but, it's everything else that he gives to the team. And yes. I think he was wonderful tonight. That pass to Greenwood, great touch by Greenwood, obviously, but that was sensational, wasn't it? It really was wonderful to see.
It just shows you what confidence can do. We had Cavani pass him outside with the right foot. It just shows what confidence can do, and confidence is so key. And I dare say, the amount of times we go down and we're in a loose position, and when we're like, okay, handbrake down, let's go and actually play our football. Pogba instrumental through the middle. Bruno, can you see the difference when our better players play with Bruno? There was a
Yeah.
myth that they couldn't play it together. Shut up. Do you know what I'm saying? Shut up.
Well, I
About
don't even know where that came from really, because if you
it's
think when Bruno came in, Matic was playing at the time. Bruno and Pogba were absolutely phenomenal. So I don't know where
exactly.
this narrative of those two that can't play together. They're brilliant. They're not the same style of player. They're not treading on each other's toes. They bring out the best of each other,
Exactly.
and hopefully that puts that one to bed, right?
100%. And do you know the funny thing regarding that is that if you do watch them, I think obviously both of them want to be higher up the park, but we need to realize, like, they don't get in each other's way. They're good players. Good players can play with good players. We've seen football teams boast have embarrassment of so many good centre midfielders. Look at Spain. They had a starting lineup with Fabregas, Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets. What? But it's only for some reason in this English league that you can't play them all together. That's nonsense. And you look, there are two of our best players, creative wise. So why would we not have them on at the same time? And look, McFred, I don't want to talk about them personally, the less the better. But look, Scott McTominay played better in the second half. Personally, I think the game bypassed Fred. I think it was just too quick for him. Don't know if that even makes sense. Too quick for him. I think the game just passed him. Lindelof and Harry wasn't their best games, but I dare say when you've got Cavani on form, on song, Bruno on song, and Pogba on song, it doesn't really matter. And we're in the final. I don't care. 6-2, guys. Like literally 6-2. And as Klopp says, let's talk about six, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Oh
I could hear you all night, mate. Thanks for that. You have to serenade me a little bit more another time. Yeah, I mean, we kind of briefly touched on it. I know you said you didn't want to talk about it, but Scott and Fred.
Big up to Joe, by the way. Great actor. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, man, he's a good boy. He's a good lad. Yeah, Scott and Fred. Look, we've seen them be relatively instrumental in some big games. Okay, and obviously when Ollie, especially when we want to play counter-attacking football, they're two good players to have in order to try, even though they're not defensive minded. They kind of work well as a team in order to stop anyone and be able to sort of break away and catch people on the counter. But when you come up against a team like Roma, that's not really what you want. They're Italian teams, known to be quite sort of defensive. You want to be on the front foot and you want to be starting quickly, and those two aren't going to give you that. And I think Ollie knows this. I think Scott playing further forward is far better.
Yeah.
Fred just doesn't do the simple things right for me. And whilst he might be a good squad player, I do think that some more investment, maybe looking at moving him, or might be needed. But yeah, I mean, what did you make about those two? I know you touched upon it very briefly, but with those two, do you think Ollie needs to kind of stop doing that? He needs to kind of go with a different plan?
Yeah, because look, they're not good enough to play on their own. And, sometimes it does work well when they play together. But, look, if you want to be a serious club, we don't need to play two pivots. It's not needed. Go out and buy a DM. Both players are good squad, sporadic players. For the due course of a season, Man United are going to play 60-plus games. Of course, they'll have their games, the League Cup and so on, and games that you might want to see out. Yeah. However, when you're going to win a league or even compete for the league, yes, we're sitting second right now, but let's be honest. If we're going to compete and try and win a league, you need a DM. You need a specialist in there that can allow Pogba and Bruno to go ahead and do their stuff. And, like what he done with Matic today, just to try and shore it up, and even though we're so many goals forward, that's the option it could be for McTominay. I think McTominay will stay. I think McTominay has accepted his role, if I'm honest. The Fred situation, I don't see anyone giving us enough money to justify selling Fred. So that's a tough one, personally. A very tough one. But we can't dominate and create a dynasty in football with McFred. playing in the midfield there. Mark, you're on mute.
Cheers, bro. Thank you. Got me out. Got me quick. No, I've said many times before, a couple of months ago, in fact, that, Fred, I said, is a good squad player. But I think if anyone came in for him and offered us 40 mil, I'd rip the hand off. And this isn't a criticism to Fred, but I think that in that first half, and we've seen this so many times before, it can be a detriment to us moving forward. And as I say, if someone comes in for him, then I would be happy for him to move on, if I'm honest. I think you're absolutely right. McTominay, he's still young. Fred, what is he now? 26, 27.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And at some point you need to be able to sort of be able to hit the ground running and know what your role is, know what you're good at, be able to do the simple things like the passing. And he just, for me, still doesn't do that. And again, the whole first half, everybody was pretty poor. Okay, Cavani and Bruno really were the only two, and Pogba to a certain extent. Okay, but it had to really highlight the fact that Fred and McTominay just for me weren't their best. Anyway, going to wrap things up with you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. Who is your man of the match today? And do you think that's pretty much one foot in the door and we're into the final?
Pogba man of the match, and we've got 2 feet in the final. Listen, they need to score, I believe, 5 goals so to get ahead of us in aggregate, and we are definitely scoring at least 1 or 2 goals there. We're in the final, guys. Listen, set up the watch along, sell everything, but take the day off work. Wednesday night, 26th of May, we are in the Europa League Cup final. Come on, United.
I love the positivity, mate. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think we're pretty much firmly in there. There's always a bit of apprehension for me, but hopefully we've now broken that duck and get into the final. Listen, bro, great to have you on, mate. You can have a wonderful, wonderful sleep, and I'll be in contact over the next couple of days. Have a chat, all right?
Speak to you soon, lads.
Cheers, Geese. Thank you. Cut him off a bit early. Sorry about that, Bobs. So let me just go through some of the comments. I saw one here from Jarvis, and I can't find it now. Where are you? Something about believing in Ollie. Anyway, can't find it right now, but he's absolutely right. I mean, at some point, whilst we can criticise him about, against Leeds not making the subs early, which has happened on several occasions, today he changed the team about. He didn't bring any subs on, but changed the team about half time, and it worked for us. And we were a lot more on the front foot from the get-go, and that paid dividends in the end. Let me have a look at some more comments. Why do we want 2 creative midfielders when we have Bruno? He creates for 3. You're probably not wrong there. I mean, Pogba isn't really. I mean, he is a creative midfielder, but he tends to sort of sit. He either plays on the left at top, or he sort of kind of sits back and sort of plays that middleman in between, and sort of like a deep line playmaker, really, for me. But yeah, I mean, we don't need to look at any more creative midfielders. I mean, there has been talks, obviously. There's been a number of games this season when we've just looked a little bit flat and not able to progress the ball. And I think, that's kind of the games where either, Bruno's not quite on form or Pogba's been injured. So, but yeah, I mean, it was absolutely over the moon. What a great day for everybody. It's a discussion for another day, but every time we win when we play, it masks the inconsistency and lack of quality. I do agree with this, Stu. We're quick to talk, really sort of take in these wins and be excited and happy. But that even though we're sitting in second and we're potentially into a final of Europa League, there has been a lot of frustrations this season, and it's certainly something that over the summer, or at least during pre-season, whatever that's going to be, it's something to work on. Couple more comments. Callum, Pogba paramount, and I come back tonight. Him and Cavani need to sign extensions. You're absolutely right. Pogba, absolutely brilliant. He has been for most of the season, quite frankly. Cavani, we were talking about it earlier. He is absolutely sublime, and when even from the get-go, he just looked hungry, and he was absolutely brilliant. Right, I'm going to bring on my next guest, Andrew. How you doing, buddy?
Good, thanks. As I say, second half FC strikes again.
It certainly was. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I mean, if there is, any moment when you can say that, it's certainly tonight, isn't it? 2-1 down after half time, come back and win 6-2. So what were your overall thoughts, buddy?
I say on the first half, it was like really disruptive and disappointing from United. I mean, it started well with that first goal was just a thing of beauty. I mean, Pogba's ball into Cavani, the layoff from him, and then Bruno's technique to put the ball over the goalkeeper and into the net. I mean, Bruno loves scoring in the Europa League. It's his 19th goal in 31 games. So hopefully he can score in the second leg and in the final to hand us the trophy. I mean, we just failed to capitalise on the quick start and then score another one as quickly. I mean, Roma looked dangerous every time they attacked. I mean, the penalty we gave away, it was never going to be overturned. Yes, Pogba was trying to help out the defence and stop the cross, but with his arms out like that, it was handball under the current rules. Had it been the other way, we'd have been screaming for the penalty. And then the second goal, I mean, it was just so bad defending. We just unravelled. I mean, McTominay and Fred were just pulled apart when helping out of the defence. I mean, intensity had dropped. We were running out of ideas, but I was a bit surprised Ollie didn't make changes at half time, but he kept faith with the players that were on there, and his selection was justified. And I mean, the experienced players, they stepped up. I mean, the second half was just a joy to behold. I mean, if us fans had been in there, Old Trafford would have just been rocking to see those wonderful goals from Cavani and Bruno. It was just, yeah, it would have been a night.
And you know what? Ollie made some comments the other week. Cavani needs to really be sort of scoring in front of the fans. And he's absolutely right. Unfortunately, for players like he and Van der Beek, they really haven't had any sort of emphasis from the fans behind them, and that is a real shame. And obviously Van der Beek will stay and Cavani may not, but it would be a real crying shame, to be honest, for them not to experience that. You mentioned about the defensive frailties. Now, let's be honest, we've seen that a number of times this season. It's been a lot more, a lot better. More recently, we've let in less, and we seem to be. It was a struggle for us to score goals, up until sort of today, really. But yeah, it was a bit shaky. I thought that second goal. I mean, I don't know what everyone was doing. I think we haven't sort of conceded very many, at least for a long time.
Wan-Bissaka, he was like, where was he? He was just literally trotting back towards the defence. I thought you should have busted the gut to at least try and help. We just left McTominay and Fred trying to help out, and they just got pulled apart, and the Roma players got in. I mean, like with McTominay and Fred, they both seem to want to do the same job as each other. Well, one, like McTominay, he's better getting more forward, whereas Fred should be like a bit like a Roy Keane, an enforcer, trying to stop, be a help to the defence and progressing from the midfield into the attacks. But that's why I thought both Fred and McTominay weren't having good first halves, but I would have took Fred off and put Pogba back into the midfield, and started with put Greenwood on, but Fred got better in the second half. So
yeah, he did. I don't know what really Ollie must have said to him at half time, and sometimes it's not about making those substitutions. It might just be a very small change in the formation. I think that's exactly what happened. And I've said this before, Andrew, you probably heard me, but I think Fred, McTominay isn't a defensive midfielder. He is better further forward, as you've said. And Fred, I said this to Bobby earlier, he's not really a defensive midfielder either. There's two men on the field that are trying to do one job essentially, and really neither of them are particularly good at it. And I think this really sort of highlights the fact that we need to get a defensive midfielder in.
I was going to say, I sort of can understand it, like if we're trying to defend the game and trying to see it out, you want to get, like when Matic came on, he was just like, we're trying to see out the game, like we don't want to get them to score any more goals. I mean, Roma, that first half, they were just like, the chances they were just getting, they were just opening our defence up. Luckily, the second half, they fell apart and the game was becoming stretched and there was more width, so we could just open their defence. I mean, every time we was on the attack, looked like we was going to score. We could have scored more than 6. I think we could have scored at least 3 or 4 more goals. But let's say we got the advantage, and it's going to be, say, 1 foot, I think, in the door to the final.
Yeah, and I will say 1 foot. I agree with that because, you know, I mean, they need to get 4 goals. And with our away form, it's very difficult to envisage that that's going to happen. And you know, but we do have to sort of take things very carefully. Ollie will know this, and hopefully we sort of, even if we go at 0-0, you know, even if we just put, it's not exciting. People will moan about it, but even if we put 7 people behind the ball in the next game, I'd be quite happy with that. We need to go on.
I'd say I think Ollie can afford to rest some of the players. I mean, does he really need to start with Bruno, or say even Cavani could start with Greenwood and James, who unfortunately missed out today because of bringing Pogba and Cavani back in. So it could be a game for them to make their mark and seal that place in the final. So it'd be good to see them two get some time game time in the second leg.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it will be a real chance for players to be rested a bit, and I think it would be nice to see Ahmed back, Ahmed Diallo. I think it would be
Van der Beek as well.
Van der Beek. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't come on in the end, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel sorry for him every week. You know, more recently he's come on and really started to show his intelligence, and there is certainly a class about him. And I think that, you know, when you're 4-5 up, you might have brought him on. I know he wanted to bring Matic on to sort of shore up the defence, but Van der Beek could have been brought on easy for someone like Cavani or anyone else, you know.
So with Van der Beek, I think we'll see the best of him from next season onwards. I believe that.
I totally agree with you. Man of the match for you then, mate. And silly question maybe, we've spoken about it, but do you think that's tie over?
Man of the match, I'm sort of torn between Pogba and Cavani, but I'm going to give it to Cavani. I mean, it's just his clinical finishing today. It's just the major part of his game. He's just ruthless. He was just taking the chances. I mean, the other like Rashford and Greenwood and Martial can learn lessons from his game. Cavani's link-up play as well. I mean, that's a pass for the Greenwood's goal, which is like majestic. So in terms of getting to the final, yeah, we got one foot in the door. It would be take a major catastrophe if we was not to be in the final. I mean, the team can be confident going into the second leg, especially with our strong away record. So looks like all roads lead to Gdansk on May 26th.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. Listen, thank you very much for coming on, dude. Really appreciate your time. Andrew does some writing for All for United. He did the preview today, and I'm sure, without throwing you under the bus, bro, that he'll be doing the next one next week. So make sure you come over and have a read of that. But yeah, cheers for coming on, mate. Good to see you, and I'll see you again soon. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problem, mate. Thank you. Right, great stuff. 2 great guests. Got another one coming on shortly, and then one following that, and another one, I think, after that. So we've got some a good guest coming. Just saw a comment by Fred, and now I've lost it. Fred is a good squad player, or a player to have in the squad, but Shakhtar really did rob us of 50 million. Yes, I mean, with the current climate, or at least before the pandemic, 50 million for a midfielder, probably, you know, there or thereabouts, was a relatively good price, I would have thought. Now, you got to remember, Man City will also after him. Shakhtar probably, you know, looking at it now in hindsight, have probably made some money off of us. But, you know, these are just the way things go sometimes. Just a bit unfortunate. But, you know, he's also played some great games for us. You know, before Bruno came in, and Pogba was out injured last season before the pandemic hit. He and Scott and Matic were great, and they kept us in it. So whilst we can sit here and criticise him, I do it a lot, and I don't mean to be critical, we can also look at the things that he has done for us as well. 50 million, probably a bit too much, but, you know, we've got to look at those silver linings. Seen a lot of chat about the penalty, and I can't for the life of me, I'm not very good with the comments tonight, sorry guys. Something about Henderson being able to save it. I think, here you go. If Henderson was in goal, I don't think we would have conceded that second goal. I think that's a tough one, really. I mean, I think it was a defensive error, quite honestly. I mean, I think anybody, as I've seen another comment, which I can't find, would have struggled to get to that. And I think, if Aaron Wan-Bissaka had tracked back and we defended a lot better in the middle, I don't think it would have been a goal whatsoever. But I don't think anybody would have got there. Listen, my next guest, met at the weekend. Lovely man. We're at the protest together. Benny, how you doing, my man?
Absolutely buzzing, mate. Absolutely buzzing.
Me too, man. Me too. You and I were discussing a few things earlier in the chats. Really difficult first half. I don't want to talk about that too much because we've come out 6-2 winners. But the second half, obviously, you sent in a few comments, saying, absolutely brilliant, absolutely buzzing, and rightly so. But, what changed it for us at half time? What were your overall thoughts, buddy?
First of all, I want to start off with saying that Ollie's at the wheel and trusting the process, mate.
Yes.
Yes, don't get me wrong. He's without, at times he has his faults, Ollie. You can make a substitution a little bit quicker. You could, maybe change things tactically a little bit. But when was the last time you had such confidence in United side to turn a game around so many times in a season, to come back from losing positions to go on and win the game? It's like the United of old. It gives you that buzz, me and Stu were tweeting away to each other, a little bit disappointed in the first half. I said abysmal defending for their second goal, which it was. We switched off. It was just right. We've kicked ourselves. We've kicked ourselves, really. And but Stu was saying to me, "Oh, we need a 4-2 here," and you always have that little bit of confidence under Ollie. Even if we're not performing to our best, especially in the first half, we seem to be second half FC. We seem to be. I don't know whether he says something to them at half time, or whether it's a look or a glare that he's learnt off Sir Alex or something. But it just seems to be we come out in the second half a totally different side, and I don't understand it sometimes. I scratch my bald head, because I've just shaved my head, by the way, but my bald head thinking, why can't we start games like that? Why can't we just have a first half where we're blitzing teams like we do in the second half? But it's down to Ollie, mate. People might say, people are always quick to criticise him, is the word I'm looking for, But as soon as praise comes his way, it seems to, people seem to be very hesitant to give him praise, mate. And I think he deserves praise. Is that the two on BT Sport, I think, was it Owen Hargreaves of Paul Scholes? I was just listening to Ollie's presser there. Well, not press, well, his little interview after the game. And he said, it's easy for people to stand up in the studio and say, you need to make this, you need to make that changes. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, it's hard as a manager to lead players out or take players off, especially when he has the confidence in players to get us back into the game. And tell you what, though, Edison Cavani, mate, what I'd do, mate, I'd go to his house right now, get on my hands and knees and grovel for him to stay for one more season. Just one more season. Boca can wait, mate. Just one more season. We are going places, pal. Under the correct backing, so long, we've been through this before, it's a discussion for another day, but if the owners just back the guy, back Ollie, mate, we could go places. Ollie's proved it. Now it's just time to repay his faith and just back the lad. Just give him the best chance that we can give him, because trust me, Ollie has taken us places, pal, and he's given me so much belief, that even when things are going a bit crappy and a bit rough, in maybe one half of the game in the first half, or we didn't perform so well, i.e. against Leeds at the weekend with a bit of a drab 0-0. You always know that Ollie's got something in his pocket which he pulls out, and it's like a little bit of magic. It's like when his back's a little bit against the wall, Ollie seems to be pulling out all the cards all the time. I just think with the correct backing, mate, we are going places on this guy. You know, I don't understand why he gets so much hate. You know, I can understand the criticism. You know, constructive criticism is good, but mate, we are going places, mate, and I'm just probably overjoyous and I'm babbling on as usual. But mate, I'm just buzzing.
Now, listen, it's all good stuff, and it's good to be positive. It's good to be that way, and you're absolutely spot on. People are very quick to talk about. I've said this so many bloody times. People are so quick to jump on his back when he makes mistakes. He's inexperienced, but they're very, very hesitant, as you said perfectly, to give him the credit where credit is due. And I wish that we'd put as much effort and emphasis into talking about those positives as we do the negatives, because things would be such a happier place. And you're absolutely right. And, you know, by all accounts, I've read a few things the last few days. Don't know how true it is. Don't take me as gospel. But after all the ridiculousness over the last couple of weeks, they're looking to back Ollie. Now, whilst that would be great, and thank you very much. Obviously, it doesn't overshadow anything that's gone on in the last few weeks or 16 years. Okay, I hope they do fucking back him, and I hope they do see what most of us see in Ollie. Yes, he's going to make mistakes, but let's you know, he's brought us to some real stability here, and we can't knock him for that. And ultimately, if he is backed, as you say, and he can get 1, 2, 3 players in, may or may not happen, then you're absolutely right. He will bring out the best in players. He will bring the best out of the team. That the team spirit and everything at the moment, we see it week in, week out, is so much better than it has been for the last 8 years. Now,
that's what I'm saying. Sorry, pal, I don't mean to put in, but that's what I was trying to say. Like, you know, when was the last time I saw team spirit like this was under Sir Alex Ferguson? You know what I mean? Yeah, under David Moyes, it sort of started to okay, and it just dissipated, which cost Moyes his job. Louis van Gaal, it was so boring, it was dull. You know, great manager, by the way, Louis van Gaal. Funny as fuck, man. I love the guy in his presses, man, but his football was dull. Yeah. Jose just kicked players to the curb, left, right, and centre, players it didn't like. But just look at Ollie now, though. You just have to look at Luke Shaw, mate, for example. I myself thought the guy was done, mate. I remember watching a game that him and Ashley Young at the time came back from injury for the under-23s at Leeds Sports Village. And Ashley Young was quality. Luke Shaw just looked done. He looked like he just couldn't be arsed. Now, look at it now. Look at that flip side as Ollie's come in. Luke Shaw looks like a completely new player. It's like we bought a world-class left-back, you know. It's just, mate, I'm just trying to, the point I'm trying to get across is that Ollie has just instilled the belief into the players and he's instilled the belief back into the fans, you know. I think what's the famous Clive Tilsley quote? Was it United, something about United not being out, we're never out or something like that? And that's just the way that it feels like, you know what I mean? You think we're out, but then all of a sudden that spark just clicks back in and it's just down, I think it's just down to Ollie as well. And his coach staff. I know his coach staff gets a lot of stick, by the way, with Carrick being inexperienced. People tend to go after Kieran McKenna and that, you know. But they deserve a huge amount of credit for the work they do. And Mike Phelan, by the way, was an absolute masterstroke getting that guy back in, you know. And I think slowly but surely it's coming back together, and it's just good to see. You know, it's this is definitely the best team that we've had since Alex Ferguson's last squad, definitely, you know. And so long as we keep on building upon that, mate, we are going places. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, there have been moments when I've said, you know, look, it's easy for us to sort of sing his praises tonight because we've just come back of a resounding win. Okay, so we have to be careful not to get too ahead of ourselves. But I do wholeheartedly agree with you that sometimes. It's not, you know, a comment here, Ollie always says that he is learning on the job and we've got to give him time and the board needs to back him. And that's absolutely spot on. He is an inexperienced manager, okay? He has won trophies abroad, not anything of any status, but, you know, they're trophies at the end of the day. And he's been under the manager and knows what winning is all about. And sometimes you have to take a step back and you need to take a step back and think, right, What do I need to do in order to change stabilise, change, and change the mentality at the club. And he's done that. He's got rid of the deadwood. Okay, he's built this unit. He's made some great signings. Okay, Harry Maguire, written off so many times, very, very good. Just needs the right man. Okay, Bruno Fernandes, we all knew about him. We were all watching him. Great signing. And look what he's done. He's finally starting to get the jigsaw correct, and he's getting the right players in. And it is sometimes it's as simple as getting that unity, getting those players to play together and be a part of that club and do what's best for the club. And I think that's a good starting point. And he will learn the rest on the job. And look where we are now. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, mate. And I really hope that he's in this management job for as long as possible, and he reaps the rewards because he deserves it. He really, really does. Right, listen, very quickly, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. Who was your man of the match? And do you think we're pretty much into the final now?
It was a toss-up between Paul Pogba and Eddie Cavani, but I want to give it Edison Cavani, mate. As I said, mate, I'd go on my hands and knees if I have to, all the way to his house and beg him to stay just one more season. You know, just give us one more season, mate. And then if your heart's set on going back to South America, go back then. Because we are going places, so we need a top striker like him. And I think it's you see for Greenwood how much is benefiting Mason Greenwood, because Greenwood was coming to his own. But that's for another time now, because I'm blabbing on too much. But yeah, I think we as previous guests said, we're 1 foot in the final now. And as I put through a tweet out earlier on, I'm looking forward to getting shafted by UEFA for ticket allocations and being part of Sam Keller's Chub Club again, which I've missed being part of that away Chub Club when you don't get a ticket in the ballot. So yeah, we're 1 foot in, pal. You know, and I'm absolutely buzzing. And thank you for having me on once again, lad.
No problem. Listen, mate, I can listen to you all day. You don't waffle. It's great to chat to you, and I love to see the positivity. So thank you very much.
Thank you, pal.
I'll speak to you very soon, mate. Thanks for coming on. And
cheers, mate. Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be on shows very soon together. All right, bro.
No problem, mate. Cheers, care, mate. Pal.
Bye-bye. Cheers, Benny. Absolute great stuff, mate. It's great to talk about Ollie in that way. And whilst we can criticise him, you know, credit, as I say, credit where credit's due. You've got to speak to it. You've got to speak about him like that. You've got to speak about the things that he does right. And I'm so pleased to see some of the comments tonight, seeing that, which is really, really great. One comment before I bring my next guest on. This is the first time where Pogba has been consistent. Now, that's not always down to the manager. The player does need to be culpable for that. And, you know, players, if they're world-class, they have a high price tag, usually they should be able to go into any team, really, and be able to perform. But it's not always about that. And you're absolutely right. He has brought the best out of Pogba, one way or another. Conversations about him leaving, whatever that may be, he has brought the best out of him. And it's really great to see, and it really, really makes the team tick. Right, I'm going to bring on my next guest. Connor.
God, that second half made this call a bit easier, didn't it?
How you doing, mate? All right. Do you know what? Yeah. It feels like an absolute age since I saw you, but I guess absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
I know. You're missing me already, are you?
I am, mate. I absolutely am. We had a great little car journey up to the protest of the week. Good fun, but that's for another time. Listen, you must be as jubilant as everybody else is in the comments, watching us lot. Great second half. What were your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, like I just said, it's made this a bit easier because at half time, I wrote some notes down at half time to things I want to go through. And I mean, they haven't changed, I guess, because we shouldn't be playing like that anyway. So I'll get the negatives out of the way first. I've seen a lot of criticism for Ollie starting McTominay and Fred, and you know, I can see why he did. Maybe Matic, maybe you only need Matic in today's game, but we do this a lot. And I said this last week. It's almost like we need that first 30 minutes to figure out what the other team's going to do, and then we go all at them. Whether that's down to fitness, whether that's on Ollie's orders to absorb whatever they've got and then go at them in the second half. But clearly, Ollie's team talks at halftime. I'm glad Benny mentioned Ollie and a few of the guys in the comments as well, because clearly he says something at halftime that makes those players go out and perform well in the second half. This is not just the players going, oh, well, we'll start trying now. Clearly something is being said at halftime to kick these players, or whether it's a tactical thing or whatever it is. We'll never know the full details. So that was good to see again, because not going to lie, I was worried at halftime, because even if we'd have won 3-2 tonight, that's not a great, despite the fact our away record's pretty good, that's still a bit of a dodgy lead to hold on to with those 2 away goals. So we needed it. I wanted us to get 4, 6, even better. And that's definitely I think the tie's pretty much done now. We can probably go there with a second field team and sit back and play out and boring 0-0, because we don't need to go there all guns blazing anymore. So yeah, overall it was better in the second half, obviously, as most people have said, and it's pretty obvious to say that. But I think Ollie deserves the credit there, because this is not the first time we've seen us come out better in the second half. So clearly halftime team talks has got a big part to play in that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, just talking about with Benny there, you must have picked up on that as well. He does deserve credit, and there is, it's all about man management half the time, and he didn't change. People were screaming. I had chats with many people in our group as well. Bring on Matic, bring on Greenwood. And whilst I agreed with those, and still agree with those, sometimes it doesn't take that substitution in order to change a game. Sometimes it takes a manager, as you say, at half time to turn into prime Sir Alex and really sort of, cheer, give them enough impetus to come on and absolutely come on fighting. And that's exactly what happened. And it's good to see. And again, you're absolutely right. You've got to give Olive credit for those things.
It's not always. I was just going to say on that as well, it doesn't always have to be personnel changes to change a game at half time.
Yeah.
There's always little subtle changes a manager can make, whether that's Pogba playing 5 yards further forward, or 5 yards further back, or more inside. There's very subtle changes that will happen at half time. So it's not although I wanted to see a change at half time, maybe Greenwood for one of McTominay or Fred, it doesn't always have to be a personnel change. It can be a very slight tactical tweak in the current formation you're playing. And let's not forget, I'd love to see Abdel's thoughts on this, to be honest. But, from what I saw watching the game, it looked like we changed formation 3 or 4 times in that second half. 1 point, Bruno was out on the left, Pogba was out on the left, and Cavani was dropping deep, and Bruno was playing as a centre forward. So this is what I want people to take away, is that it doesn't always have to be a personnel change. You can change things and make an impact without making substitutions all the time.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Struggling with this a little bit. Sorry, bro. I was busy listening to you. Great points there. Cavani, again, don't want to sound like a broken record. We've spoken about him before. Lots of talk about him leaving potentially. Today, he was sensational. Even in that first half, he looked so hungry and ready. Him and Bruno were our best 2 players in the first half, and Pogba, as I said earlier. But, 2 goals, was probably getting overconfident and nearly scored 2 wonderful worldies after. That worldie of a pass to Greenwood, you can't ask for more. Look, 33, 34 now, still got it. 50 goals in European football. What else can you say?
Yeah, it shows what can happen when you've actually got a proper number 9. This is not a dig, at Rashford, Greenwood, or Martial, but they're not on Cavani's level at number 9. They're good players, but when you need a proper old school striker, in my opinion, that's his second goal epitomised everything. We got very lucky with the keeper parrying it out or whatever, but the fact that he's there and scoring those tap-ins, that's what we want from any striker. And I think we've mentioned this a few times on shows like this, his movement off the ball as well, that people don't always pick up on, because what he does is Chris Smalling tonight seems like he was man marking him in the first half, and in the second half, Cavani's movement was so quick that he actually pulled both centre halves, Smalling and the other centre half, away. So that's then 2 defenders being pulled to play, which gives more space to your wide players, whether that's Rashford or Pogba or Bruno moving out wide. So his movement is severely underrated, and I think whatever happens with Cavani in the summer, I've just seen Fabrizio Romano's tweet about United still stand by that they want to keep him at the club. If he doesn't want to be here, fine. Good luck to him. Go off to Boca Juniors, and I'm sure he'll do well down there. But we need a proper striker like him, because if we don't, and we go back to whether it's Rashford or Martial or Greenwood. That will work in some games. But when you need to get in a game like this, where you need a proper number 9, I think that's where we're going to struggle. So I would try and keep him if he wants to stay. That's the main thing. You know, as much as I'd want him to stay, if he doesn't want to be here, there's no point trying to keep him.
Yeah, but by all accounts, you know, it's not that he doesn't want to be here. It's just the fact that, you know, he's, you know, through a pandemic, being the age that he is and the family that he's got, he wants to be closer to home. Now, nobody can stop anyone from feeling that way, or, you know what I mean? We can't lambast him for that. And I totally understand that. Ultimately, you want people to be at your club. And unfortunately, if that's not quite Cavani's thoughts, and again, that's no criticism towards United, if he doesn't want to be here for whatever reason that is, then you can't stop him. But as you say, that brings another problem to our array of problems, where we need to then get a number 9. And you know, you hit the nail on the head. Nobody else is a number 9. He is a true number 9, and nobody else comes close. Sorry, what were you going to say, Brian?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say on that. I think as United fans or football fans in general, we want every player to love the club as much as we do, and that's not always. You know, Cavani's come from Uruguay, probably isn't a United fan, but the thing I love about him is he's professional in what he does, and that's all we ask as United fans. We just want someone to try. Obviously, the quality as well. So, yeah, you know, we forget sometimes that these players are human beings. You know, he wants to be close to his family, whatever decision he decides to make in the summer, good luck to him. But yeah, I just think as fans, we want that. We want every single player to be, you know, a Manchester United fan and be here for the rest of their career. And that's not always going to be the case.
No, it's not. It's not going to be the case. You know, it's just longevity, unfortunately, these days, especially, you don't see it in Scholes, Giggs, and all those other players that just seem to last forever. It just doesn't. And you know, we just need to move on, and hopefully that we now recruit properly. Listen, Connor, great to see you again, bro. Thanks for coming on. Just a couple of last questions for you. Your man of the match, and do you think that we're pretty much, as everyone else has mentioned, as I've mentioned a few times, into that final now?
Man of the match is difficult. It's between 3, isn't it? I don't think anyone else is going to say it's any different between Pogba, Bruno, and Cavani. And it shows again that when you have quality players on the pitch, then those players will help drag you through tough games like it was in the first half today. So I'm going to give it to Cavani just because I think his overall movement freed up for the other goals. Obviously won us the penalty, got his 2 goals, the pass to Greenwood, and his overall play and his hold-up play was brilliant as well. So man of the match, Cavani, and yeah, I think we're through now. I wouldn't be surprised if we go with a Fred and Matic midfield in the next leg and just sit back and play out a boring 0-0. And I'd be fine with that, to be honest, because we don't need to go out there and, you know, try and blitz them and risk injuries and things like that. So yeah, I think we're pretty much through, and hopefully we get Villarreal in the final, because I'm not looking forward to playing that Arteta Arsenal again, because that does seem to be a bit of a slipping ground for us. So
yeah, I mean, Spanish teams aren't always our best hunting grounds at all. Obviously, we won't be in Spain, but always a tough one. I wouldn't like to play either, if I'm brutally honest. I just think Arsenal. Always, they have, and this is no slant on Arsenal. They've been terrible this season.
If we play like we did in the second half, we can beat either of them.
Yeah, but it's second half FC. We've been saying this all bloody season. You know, we seem to turn up when we're behind or second half, and we need to start. And if there's one game that I pray that we start from the off in the first half, it's if we get into the final, and whoever that's against, we need to. But you're absolutely right. We could blow anyone away. Playing as well as we did. Listen, Connor, great to have you on again, bro. Thanks for coming on, mate. I know you've got an early start tomorrow, so get some beauty sleep, and I'll see you very soon. All right, bud.
Nice one. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, mate. Right, I'm going to get my last guest on. I'm just going to put a few more comments on. There was a really good stat here. Jacob, good to see you again, mate. Thanks for coming on again. Man United are the first side to score 6 in the semi-final of a major European competition since May 1964, when Real Madrid beat Zurich 6-0. It's a really good stat. Thank you very much for that, mate. And good, we're breaking more records, so that's wonderful. Jarvis, I saw your comment earlier about Ollie as well. Obviously, it's good to see that positivity. Ollie is home where he belongs. He really understands what United is all about, the spirit, the courage, passion needed to win. Ollie will learn and implement the old United way of winning mentality. And you're absolutely right. And I hope he does do that. Totally agree with that. He's the best man for that, potentially. A few more comments. My mouse is playing up a little bit. Yeah, Liverpool next weekend. Big game. I don't know who's going to be doing the review after that, but that is either going to be, very happy, very sad, or quite in between. We'll have to wait and see. Right, I'm going to bring on my last guest. Last, but certainly not least, James. How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm very good after that. How are you?
Fine, mate. Yeah, I'm absolutely knackered, to be honest. Yeah, and lots of shouting and screaming, pissing the dog off, pissing the missus off. But it's all for a good cause of winning 6-2. Listen, talk to me about how you feel about that, mate. I mean, it was a shitty first half. We know this. Don't want to talk about that too much. But the second half, that's some of the best football we've seen all season, right?
Yeah. First off, I thought that was the semi-final curse was coming back in full effect. I thought, how are we going to get anything from this game? But you never count United out a second half. Yeah, that's
you and me both, mate. I was a bit concerned about that.
It's a rookie mistake, but yeah, second half, Roma completely played into our hands. It was by no means a phenomenal performance from United. I think it was made pretty easy, but take nothing away from the fact that we created chances and we finished them as well. That's a problem we have all too often, creating good chances and not taking them. So, Cavani's finish for his first goal was unreal. The even Pogba's header deserves credit. I suppose the Greenwood finish as well. Very good finish, albeit a deflection. But yeah, 6 good goals to say the least. So yeah, no complaints at all. Obviously, would have preferred to be a little bit more defensively tight. I think they maybe could have got one more, but yeah, no complaints really.
I'm pleased, mate. Yeah, no complaints from me either. It was really good football to watch. I mean, it was a kind of end to end. Bit unfortunate. I mean, we haven't even talked about the penalties tonight. Both of them. They were very, very fortunate. Pogba, I mean, when you go into ground like that, how you can, even if it's in an unnatural position, how you can move your arm out. Do you know what I mean? That just seemed mental to me, a bit unfortunate. And even our penalty, really, bit fortunate. I mean, Cavani, was he fouled? Maybe not. I think maybe he felt like he had to maybe make up for the first one, quite honestly, which shouldn't happen. But that's how I felt about it. I mean, penalties for you?
By the letter of the law, they're penalties, but they're both very unlucky. I think Smalling's got no intention of taking Cavani out there. I think it's just unfortunate that his follow-through catches him. And then obviously, Pogba's unfortunate with going to ground and everything, but realistically, he's preventing a very good chance for Roma. The ball's going back across the box. Anything can happen from that point. So I think from that point of view, it probably is a penalty. I think you look at the position of his hand as well. It's unnatural position. Obviously, he's not meant for his arm to be there. It's just from him sliding. But yeah, I didn't have any complaints really about their penalty. I think, and then our penalty was very fortunate, but definitely a penalty. So yeah, I don't think the referee got him wrong. It's just the nature of the modern game nowadays.
I think you're absolutely right. And to be honest with you, I think when that penalty went against us, I think, being in front, I was just a bit pissed off. So it was probably easy for me to go, nah, it's not a penalty. But you're right. By the letter of the law, was a penalty. Pogba unfortunate. And it's just one of those things. Sometimes they go for us, some against. Pogba today, Bruno today, he's taken a lot of criticism recently. He probably hasn't been brilliant for a while now. But Cavani, and Pogba, absolutely phenomenal. Tell me your thoughts on those three in particular, because I thought they were superb in that second half.
It's the 3 players in our team that are used to winning trophies. Pogba's won a World Cup, Cavani's won pretty much everything, hasn't he, at PSG and the other teams. And then Bruno's obviously won trophies with Sporting as well. And you can tell you get into big games and they're firing on all cylinders. And I think it's no coincidence that we play like this when Pogba's really getting back into the flow of things. You look at, there was a talk earlier when Callum was on about Pogba, and it's a good point. I think Ole is probably getting the best out of him now rather than any of the other managers. You look at when Pogba's been really incredible at United. He had that spell when Ole first came in, and now he's having this spell here as well as Project Restart as well. He was pretty good. So yeah, I think there's definitely. I think it's just Ole respecting the fact that Pogba is probably technically the best player on this team, and he's okay with the fact that Pogba has an ego and all this, and it's clearly playing into Pogba's hands. So hopefully it's enough to get him to sign a new deal. But yeah, Cavani's shown what he does best. You give the ball to Cavani, good things are going to happen. I think when he goes quiet, it's not through any fault of his own. It's through the fact that we can't get the ball to him. So yeah, Bruno, we know Bruno's got that in him. A little bit of a bad spell, and people forget how good you really are, and he's proved it today. You know, took his goal very well. His 2 assists were good as well. So yeah, all three of them all three of them showed how important they are to this team.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. And you know what? I absolutely agree with you. It cannot be coincidence that the 2 best spells with Pogba are when Ole is the manager. Okay, that's is just, as I said, a lot of it is down to players' ability, but a lot of it is also being integrated correctly in the right positions and having a good rapport with your manager and your teammates. And I really believe Ole is instilling that. I'm gonna wrap things up, James. I hope you don't mind, mate. Listen, great to have you on, bro. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I saw another comment actually that I just wanted to read out, and now I can't find it. Your mate John Gray's in again, though. It's to do with scoring goals, and he's absolutely right. Our problem in the last few weeks has been that creativity. Now, obviously, Bruno's been slightly off the pace. Pogba, not quite his usual self. But when we do get it to our strikers, Greenwood, Rashford, most of the time, Cavani, they do put them away. And he's absolutely right. You know, it's just been the creativity that's the problem. It's not our goal scoring. I mean, we've got 50, 60 odd goals in the Premier League, whatever it is, which is a crazy amount by this point or whenever it was. And it's not the goals that we were struggling recently, but it was that creativity in that final third to get it to the strikers, right?
Yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier that Roma played into our hands. You see when we score a lot of goals this season, 9-0 against Southampton, they had a few men sent off, so there's a lot of gaps. 6-2 against Leeds, they play completely open, so there's gaps in behind that defence. Sociedad, again, played a high line, and Roma obviously chasing the game, pushed forward a lot, and it left chances for our players. So you give them the chances, they're going to score goals. That's the problem. That's why I don't think we need a striker this season. I think a player like Sancho would be much more important to create those chances against a team that are happy to sit back. I think, yeah, like you said, we're in front of goal. We're pretty clinical. We could have even had more, to be fair. Cavani had that one-on-one chance, but yeah, creating against low blocks is our big issue. We all know that. There's nothing revolutionary about anything I'm saying, but yeah, I think a creator up front rather than 3 goal scorers that we usually play up front would go a long way into winning more games more comfortably.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Thank you very much. Right, as I've asked everybody, 1 foot in the door, 2 feet in the door. What do you think? And who was your man of the match?
Well, you saw what Roma did against Barcelona a couple of years ago. Nothing's certain, but it's definitely the best start we could have possibly hoped for. But Cavani, without a doubt, man of the match. It's second, without a doubt, I say he nudges it over Pogba. I think Pogba's involvement in everything on the pitch sets him above the rest. But you can't argue with Cavani. Took his first goal incredibly well. His assist for Bruno was phenomenal, and he embarrassed Chris Smalling today, and he showed why United sold Chris Smalling. He made him look like the player that United fans remember him as. So, and that's not easily done. Chris Smalling's been a good signing for Roma. So, Cavani today, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely right. Do you know what? I was going to make a joke earlier about Chris Smalling making a sensational return because he wasn't brilliant today. He's obviously done very well for Roma. Again, no criticism. Love all our players, ex-players, whoever that might be, bar 1 or 2. But he wasn't great, and you're absolutely right. He did show him up for what we remember as fans on many of those occasions. Listen, James, fantastic to have you on today again, mate. I know it's only 10 minutes. Hopefully it'll be a bit longer next time on Wall of Reds or something like that. Yeah, great to have you, bro. Keep in touch, and I'll see you very soon. All right.
Yeah, cheers for having me. I'll see you in a bit.
More than welcome, bro. Cheers. Right, that's it. I mean, a 6-2 win. We have been very frustrated on a number of occasions this season where we just don't seem to be able to finish games off, get resounding wins, score, a huge amount of goals. And, whilst we let in 2 today, it was good to see that we had a little bit of that spark back. And that second half was really, really great to see. We've got another couple of shows coming up this week. Obviously, a big game weekend, Liverpool. No doubt we'll be doing a review after that. So please come and join in. And thanks for everyone for the comments tonight. Seen a few new faces, all the regulars as well. Really appreciate your comments. 6-2. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Really, really pleased. Listen, thanks for joining in, and we'll see you again soon.